Thank you. First of all, congratulations for organizing this international conference of Vice Chancellors uh, Council by the SAMA's Vice Chancellor Council. And it's a pleasure to chair the session where we have got three very important panelists today attending this program. The topic of this panel is about skilled workforce for Industry 4.0. I have myself been in industry for pretty long time, almost 25 years. And before I moved out of industry, and I was closely watching that how the business models were getting reshaped. In fact, the linear business models between headcount and revenue that was completely breaking and moving to a non-linear business model between headcount and revenue. Now, in the conventional businesses, we had the headcount growing at the same rate the business was growing. So the pro rata relationship, you could see if the business is going by 100 million and the manpower is 100, business goes to 200 million, the manpower goes to 200. So those linearities were breaking. And now a non-linear business model today, which we see, where a business may go up to any number of or any higher side of the revenue, the resources may not grow proportionately, or resources may in many cases even stay stagnant or they go down. So there's a huge pressure on the companies and industries when it comes to optimizing the cost, by increasing productivity, efficiency, and quality in the processes. Besides, at the same time, making sure that the safety of the people in any of the processes that they are today working on, at the same time keeping the sustainability of the business alive. The new challenges have also thrown a new kind of an employee specialist for some specific role. And the new technology is also throwing challenges of working remotely, working in a more flexible and dynamic environment. It has also thrown challenges on data security to make sure that people who are working, they make sure that the data privacy, ownership, and management in this rise of technology is ensured that it is there. While at the same time, there is a dearth of resources today who can meet this emerging challenge that the technology is throwing for differently skilled people. And at the same time, there's also a challenge that we may be losing some people who may not be as skilled or as ready for the change that is happening in the organization, whether it is in manufacturing sector or service sector or in the agriculture sector. We see this disruption happening everywhere. So today's topic is a very important topic to discuss and debate different aspects. There are opportunities that this emergence of 4.0 is throwing to us. There are challenges also that this emergence of technology is throwing at us. So we have got the experts today, and I'm glad to introduce Professor Sandeep Sancheti, who is professor who is Vice Chancellor and Provost at the Marwadi University, Rajkot. He's an institution builder, a policy maker, regular columnist on various academic policies, and he holds a PhD from Queen's University of Belfast, UK. MSc Engineering, and from Delhi Technical University, and BTech from NIT Warangal. I think formerly Dr. Sancheti headed 8 central government institutions of national importance. He has worked as director at National Institute of Technology, New Delhi, and NITK Sunthakal. So there's a extremely wonderful profile of Professor Sandeep Sancheti. So I stopped myself here about him, but it's a privilege to have Professor Sancheti today in this forum and talking about this important topic. We also have Dr. Mihari Kagura. She is PhD in psychology from University of Manitoba, She is currently the Vice Chancellor of Delhi Skill and Entrepreneurship University, and she has been a specialist for long number of years in behavioral science. And is currently on leave from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, where she served as professor in the organizational behavior area for almost 21 years. She has been involved in the Center for Innovation and Incubation in Entrepreneurship at IIM Ahmedabad and is currently the director of that center. We also have Dr. Debashish Sanyal. Dr. Debashish Sanyal is currently director at Great Lakes Institute of Management, Gurugram, and which is one of the premier business schools in the country. In his capacity as director, he spearheads the holistic growth of Great Lakes, Gurugram, and also drives the school's efforts towards establishing it as an internationally recognized center of excellence for contemporary management education and research. And prior to joining Great Lakes, Gurugram, he was Vice Provost Management and Dean of School of Business Management at NMIMS for around 8 years, where he has contributed significantly in launching new programs and leading new initiatives. I welcome all the three panelists today to this important topic, an important session which is going to talk about skilled workforce for Industry 4.0. And with that, I would request my panelists to take 5-7 minutes for the topic and set the context from their perspective, and then we will move to some specific questions around it. So I would request Dr. Sandeep Sanchetti to please share his view on this topic in 5-7 minutes. Thank you very much, and Professor Sandeep Sanchetti.
Thank you so much, Professor Raj Nehru, for setting the tone and also introducing us. Thanks to IMA for arranging this event under the VC's Council Forum. And I'm very happy that we are discussing about skilled workforce 4.0. And I believe that this terminology has become important just to tell that how the progression should happen. Whether it is education 4.0 or industry 4.0, the relations are automatically there. Skill is now going to be counted towards education in a formalized way for degrees, which are not necessarily going to be special degrees, but they can be generic degrees. And that is the reason skilled workforce 4.0 would be related to education 4.0. And education 4.0 will be meaningful and is related to industry 4.0. And there can be many other 4.0 or 5.0s, whatever it may be. It's there because we should not compartmentalize skill or vocational courses or conventional courses into certain streams and say that this degree is a general degree and this is a skill degree and all that. I think that should vanish. And student centricity, what a student wants to learn is what should come. And fortunately, the NEP has come out with that very, very clearly that the education has to be student-centric. That's why multiple entry and multiple exit or starting of new programs or starting of a scheme like ABC, everything has been started. If there are questions on that, we can talk about that. But it should be more towards job or life goal-centric. Education should be purposeful. I think that's the whole meaning of the new education policy. If it is a journey for a student to undergo the education, if it is equivalent to journey, then in that journey, the student should be able to change the speed, change the direction, change the gear. They might have started with engineering, they may shift to commerce, and when they undertake studies in commerce, they may further specialize in something else, which may be hotel management or whatever. I think those provisions should be there. Since we're talking about skilled workforce 4.0, employability becomes the centric point. Nothing without employability, there is no meaning of any skill, generally speaking. And employability, in my opinion, if I give a simple formula today, would be two components combined together, maybe a non-linear equation, Professor Nehru, as you were saying, not necessarily in the same ratio. It will be a combination of digital skills and human skills. I'm trying to tell you that because suppose I'm a welder and earlier I used to do very good quality welding with my hand. Today, it may not be needed like that I do it with my hand. If I'm able to control a robot and robot can do all the programmed things for me, robot can probably be more consistent than what I can do because I have, as a human being, I'll have limitation. Machine probably can make things more repeatable. And therefore, this example of welding tells me that if I have digital skills to control robot and then use the robot to do certain things, I think I will be very successful welder. The same thing example can be given for investment banking. Earlier, you had intuition, you had feeling, you will study some data, some limited data, and invest in certain things. And then you will probably reap profits or benefits out of that. But today, you need to get into the big data, set the right kind of data sets, set the right kind of protocols to analyze them, and then only you can possibly come out with the right decision making. So once again, the digital skills coming with your core skills which are required, or human skills which are required. And I can go on listing various things at the lower level, higher level if it is required at the later stage. But I would simply say that in general, the skills required would be of, you can say a person should be able to do multiplexing of the job roles or simultaneously delivering in 2 or 3 roles. So that's multiplexing is what I'm talking. Multitasking is also something which one should kind of acquire. And that's when you will become successful, and more so in the coming world, because the job roles are going to change very fast. And therefore, like we say about any educational program, in skilling also, all those aspects of unskilling and reskilling kind of things will also come into picture. So those are, I would say, my initial comments. Time given was 5 minutes, so I'm limiting myself, but I'll be happy to share some of the examples and some of the elements which will constitute today's skilling. Thank you so much, Dr. Nehru.
Thank you. I think very valid observations that you made around that we need not to compartmentalize the degrees that we today offer, and the focus has to be student-centric, what you are talking about, and primarily the flexible entry exit, which is more purposeful and meaningful. The entries cannot simply be the entries and exits only to earn a certificate. They have to be very purposeful and aligned to some specific outcomes. And you are very right that unless they bring employability or some kind of livelihood opportunities, the purpose of exit is also meaningless unless that is aligned. I think you brought a very important point of change, that which I also feel that today the shelf life of skills is shortening day by day, and universities play a very important role to make sure that the students stay relevant in this challenging situation. So my next speaker is Professor Mihari Kagura, and I'm sure she has done an amazing work in last couple of years since she's in Delhi, and we would be happy to hear from her what her views are on this aspect. Professor Niharika.
Okay, so I am actually on the road, so I'm just wondering if you can give me 5 more minutes and have the third speaker speak first, and then I can speak later, because I think my voice was going to get very distorted.
No problem.
Is that possible? Just
absolutely possible. Okay. Yes, please. So this brings me to Professor Debashish. Professor Debashish, if you can hear me, I would be, thank you very much. So I turn this mic towards you, Professor Debashish, and please take your 5-7 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Aima. Thank you, Dr. Nehru. As I can see my esteemed speaker over here who are with me, and Dr. Rajan Sexton, I can see that he's in this forum also. Thank you for this opportunity. And let me go to the topic itself, which speaks about skilled workforce for Industry 4.0. We are discussing this in the background of the theme of the conference, which is global disruption and transformation in higher education. So I'll try to connect this to the theme of the conference. Now, goes without saying, Industry 4.0 is all about digital transformation of manufacturing, production, and related industry, and also value creation processes. It is used, most of us use it interchangeably with the fourth industrial revolution, and it represents the new stage in the organization and control of the industry value chain. So having said so, if you have a little bit of go back and have a look at the 4 stages of industrial revolution, if you did the first stage, the first stage was all about mechanization, steam engines, and and new manufacturing, iron production, textile industry, mining and metallurgy, steam factories. Then we went to the second one, and that was dominated by the electrification actually. Production line, mass production, globalization, engine, turbines, gas, broad use of telegraph, acceptance of that, water supply, and so forth and so on. The third was very interesting also, which was all about computer and internet, digital manufacturing. That stage we saw robotics being used, IT and OT. I mean to say, both came into being. Digitalization did happen and automation happened. Network, digital machines we started using it, and so forth. So many things happened. A big giant leap was taken in the third one. And now we are in the fourth one we are talking. When we are talking about fourth one, we are talking about convergence of IT and OT. In other words, information technology and operation technology. We are talking about autonomous machines. We are talking about advanced robotics. We are talking about big data and analytics. We are talking about Internet of Things, digital cloud computing, machine learning and AI in a big time use, cyber security, cyber physical, everything we are talking about. So against this background, if you see what is happening, that the skill request, as one of the learned speakers said already, that it is going through a massive change, and it has been changing over the every stages of industrial revolution. The skill required, new skills are required, we can see, but this time it has been a big jump in skill requirement. The change has been a phenomenon. But as mentioned by, I think, Dr. Nehru, we have to keep on top of the skills. And rightly so, if you go back, the World Economic Forum has rightly bucketed these skills required in 4.0 realm into four broad buckets. One is, of course, the problem solving, when they are talking about we need skills in analytic thinking, in complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, reasoning, problem solving. I think these skills, many of them have been addressed by many universities, especially business schools. Many of the business schools have been working on this skills for some time. They also talked about technology and design, the skills that require technology change, skills in technology change, adapting technology change and programming, technology monitoring and control. But two other buckets also which they mentioned was very interesting. One was regarding working with people, leadership and social influence. And another was self-management, resilience, active learning strategies, stress, what is called tolerance, and so forth and so on. These are the soft skills I thought it was very, very critical. And if you keep in mind the new emerging jobs which are going to come in future, which involves, many of them involve hard skills like ML and AL specialist skills, because we are looking for emerging jobs in the realm of data analysts and scientists, ML and AL specialists, software and application developers, big data specialists, digital transformation specialists, new technology specialists, IT servicing specialists. So this all needs hard skill, which has to be, and it will change. Today, what is required, tomorrow something new things will come. Yesterday it was R, now something ML and AI has come. So we have to keep on changing and topping up about this hard skills. But more so what's required, the skills which will remain, the leadership skill will still be required. Sales and marketing professional skills will be required. Organizational design specialists will be required. In other words, what I want to say is that this soft skill will be very critical. And I think, and I want to connect now, as I said in the beginning, with the theme of the conference, what I want to say is that all universities, and to make students ready for Industry 4.0, all universities needs to, in addition to augmenting the hard skill, they need to play a much bigger role in the soft skill, which is a long-standing one. If you don't have good leadership skill, if you don't have good people's management skill, then how good you are in hard skill, you will not be able to manage and organize. So what is happening in most of the business school I've come, because I'm from a business school background, does have some soft skill course. I think more importance has to be given to soft skill course. And here I am shooting with the question many a times. I think just one more minute, that whether online teaching will replace the classroom teaching. I always say that three things which are going on. One is transformation of knowledge. A third is one-to-one learning, and third is peer-to-peer learning. So I always say that yes, transformation of knowledge may go where we can teach hard skill, many things which may move to the online platform. But one-to-one learning, a faculty and a student teaching, especially in a research or creativity type of environment, or peer-to-peer learning, where soft skills are learned by the students, where they understand what is conflict. We try to resolve the conflict. They understand what team requires, the importance of team, how to solve problem-solving skills. These are the things, soft skills. I think for that, peer-to-peer learning and one-to-one will remain within the classrooms and in the periphery of the campus. So I don't see campus getting converted into online totally, and which may not be the case. But I think what is required for tomorrow, in addition to hard skills, I think we, especially in business school, we do not teach much of a soft skill other than one or two communication or something of that sort. But I think the time has come where we should start teaching them more of liberal art courses. And I think like we can teach them historical thinking, behavioral theory, environmental psychology, and also most important, sustainability. We see the UN Charter, and you'll see that sustainability is going to take a big role in future. How you apply your skills and in an environment and maintain sustainability will be very, very critical. With this, I think I'm within time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Debashish. I think you beautifully brought around the new technologies, emerging technologies that will have an impact on the jobs. In fact, you brought very important skills, especially the resilience and collaboration. In my personal interactions with many CEOs, talk about this, and one of the biggest challenges they face is that the students who come to them after finishing their college or university education and join them, they lack certain decision-making skills. In fact, one of the CEOs was telling me they need emotionally empowered resources for in decision making. They should not be looking up to us. And you made a very important point about stress management. You are absolutely right. There is a phenomenal amount of stress on the youngsters when they enter into the industry, because the kind of environment they see inside the industry and the kind of experience they get when they are in an academic institution is hell of a difference, and they get completely frustrated, and there's a lot of anxiety and stress that comes on them. And universities bear a big responsibility in bridging the issue, challenge like this. So I'm coming back to Professor Niharika Vora in case she has been able to get. Okay, thank you, Professor Niharika. So all your time for next 5-7 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much, and sorry for getting Professor Debashish to speak out of turn. But
no
thank you, Aima, for this great conversation, and thank you, Dr. Nehru, for hosting this and being our moderator. Very quickly, let me say, I think Professor Debashish has very rightly pointed out what it is, what is the industry 4.0 looking like. So, and of course, every one of us have our own interpretations of it, but the best interpretation that I've heard is the fact that industry 4.0 and 5.0, which are sort of coming very close together to each other, is about machines talking to each other. And for the machines to talk to each other, there is a lot of work that the humans will do to be able to program, to be able to manage, to feed the artificial intelligence that is being built, and the various aspects of technology. So, in fact, in my understanding, one of the most important things that is going to happen is the chance of humans working as large groups itself is going to come down. So there is going to be either so much automation that the human who is in the service of the machine, or the humans who are in the service of the machine, are going to be almost have to be treated like machines. And on the that is one side of the story, and the other is that they are going to be working pretty much by themselves in their rooms, because at the end of the day, you're not getting humans to work with humans, you're getting the humans to service to service the machines talking to each other. So there is, the context is going to be very different, and therefore, and the skills that are required are around programming, around artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. In fact, I think the future of work report has a very gloom and doom situation, which says in the next 5 years, and we're not even talking long time from now, in the next 5 years, more than 40% of the jobs that we know today are going to disappear. And there are going to be more than, I think the number is more than 2,700, but I will be conservative and say more than 2,000 roles are going to get created that we have no clue about. So in fact, as a university, we have a huge amount of responsibility, because we are preparing students to do things that are not going to exist. And we are also preparing students for roles that we don't even know currently what they will be. So in a way, we're really all shooting in the dark. And somehow we are all supposed to figure out what it is that the student needs, and that's one challenge that I think every university is facing. And and therefore the relevance of skill universities becomes very they become very relevant, because what we are saying is we don't know what the roles are going to be, but we definitely know that we need to create a lot of space for we need to create the flexibility in the student to learn and foster the love of learning and the ability to learn, irrespective of whether they know it or they don't know it at this point of time. So in fact, what I'm trying to say is we may never be able to teach them what they will use, but we can possibly foster and facilitate the learning of certain things that will help the student to actually be better prepared for this uncertain future. So that is one part of the story. Given the fact that, as Industry 4.0 comes in, Industry 1.0 hasn't disappeared. So we have actually 1, 2, 3, and 4 all going to serve in existence. So serve together. And therefore, again, as universities, as people who are preparing people for the future, I think we also have to start very carefully the conversation with the student to say what part of the industry that they should actually become part of. So again, the point I'm making is there are possibly some people who really like to work with hands and would like to continue to work with them and therefore serve the Industry 1.0 part of the society, which continues to be very, very important. And there are people who possibly like to do, some of the more Industry 4.0 skills. Therefore, that is also important. So my point is that we also need to get into real counseling. Not everybody needs to do exactly the same thing. Unfortunately, until now, we have always felt that you are the best if you are working on the latest. I think what we need to change the narrative to is you are the best in when you do what you do in an excellent way, and you are the best at that. So I think that is the narrative that we need to change. And I think as universities, we need to change it. We need to bring in that sensitivity among our faculty. We need to change mindsets of parents, and therefore we need to influence the students as well. So maybe that is where I will stop at this point of time. Happy to take questions, but these are my initial thoughts on this entire topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Niharika. I think very valid observations. And I liked what you said, that machines are talking to machines. In fact, the old days are gone when machines were talking in the neighborhood, the next machine to them. These days, the machines are talking in the remote hood. You don't have machines in the next room. You have machines in the next plant. So you may have a plant in Gurugram, and you may have a plant in Punjab or somewhere in Chennai or somewhere in in Europe. and machines talk to each other. I think you are very right. Human and the talent, the skills have gone to a next level where their responsibility and job is now demanding them to be able to listen to the conversation of machines and program it in such a way that the decisions that these conversations that machines make after they converse with each other, those decisions are more accurate, and they result into the purpose for which those conversations have been created between machines. In fact, I find a bigger challenge now. It's not a machine conversing with machines, it's machines conversing with many machines, and that puts the challenge on the resource, that how he understands that complexity and how he solves those complex problems that emerge from those complex decisions. And then eventually that leads to understanding of cloud technologies and big data, deep learning and machine learning and analytics and all that. So that brings us to the conclusion of this first part, where we were able to hear your views. All the panelists have spoken their views. Before I move to the question section, I would just want to take 1 minute from each one of you. What do you think is the role of higher education, academic world, in aligning itself? Where are the challenges in the academic world that today prevent us from meeting this challenge that is coming from outside, that this 4.0 has thrown to us? So just please 1 minute from each of the speaker, and then we will move to the participant questions. So maybe Professor Sandeep, I can start from you.
Sure, Professor Nehru. I'll just continue with a small comment on machines, which you are very interestingly talking about. Machines are active, machines are interactive, machines are smart, machines are intelligent, machines are acquiring all the positions and roles which humans can do. And more interestingly, the power which humans or living beings had to reproduce their next generation or themselves is now going to machines. Machines can reproduce themselves. And I'm sure some of you have seen that movie of Robot, which was actor was Rajnikant, and which became quite famous. That's the power of machines. Anyway, my suggestion in terms of what education should do is the last point, probably where Professor Vohra was anyway touching, and I call it slightly different. The only skill which I will try to deliver to my student, so that whether it is 4.0 or 6.0 or 10.0 or 1.0, no O, doesn't matter. The student should acquire the skill called learnability. Whether he's sitting idle, or whether it is to do a role or do something in terms of programming or do something technology or do something as a normal chore or job which he is required to do. The point here is learnability will be the biggest skill. Dimensions of it would be from minus infinite to plus infinite. I'm using a term minus infinite because you'll have to unlearn something in those learnability things. So therefore, a negative connotation is there. That's my answer.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Debashish, any comment?
Yeah. Thank you. I will start with a comment where Dr. Niharika actually ended and said about is that job profile is going to change over a period of time. A lot of jobs, old profile job is going to get replaced by new profile. And I fully agree with her. And there are a lot of study which is saying so, and there's nothing not to agree. The most important thing that I'll focus on the curriculum of the higher education. Whether a curriculum is good enough or contemporary or futuristic enough that prepares students to take up the new skill jobs or not. One important piece, I think I mentioned earlier also, soft skill remains permanent. Whether at the time of 1 also, 5, 6, it will remain permanent. And those skills needs to be taught, emphasized again and again, because behavior of people are changing and social condition is changing. So behavioral part has changed significantly. Psychological path has changed significantly. That's so it will continue. New skills have to be taught over from time to time, top up. The curriculum, I'm saying, for example, accounting, whether we need to teach the same accounting stuff or should we blockchain into accounting? Because tomorrow's generation is going to use blockchain in decision making. So whether a marketing course should have only teaching those, or we should bring some analytics parts, how to use analytics in marketing decisions, whether a core course on marketing 1 or 2, whatever we call it, or a research method course, which we teach in all the business schools, should it be the way we are teaching? Only teaching statistics once again in a different fashion. How do you statistics? Or whether you are going to help them learn ML or AI to solve the problem. I think the blended way of using new technology in the core courses that we teach, in addition to top-up elective courses, will be required for all education institutes to keep the students relevant to take up the job which is coming up.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Devashish. I have a question for Niharika ji. Professor Niharika, there's a question which I'm sure you will be able to answer, combining these two questions, that what are the how can these artificial intelligence, machine learning, or robotics, where is the scope of integrating these topics in the curriculum or management development curriculum? So there are a couple of questions which some participants have asked about the new technologies integrating into management programs. Would you like to answer this question, Professor Niharika?
Okay. So my belief is that these are questions that can't be answered by by just sitting in a chair. And these can't be answered simply by academics or by industry by themselves. I think it is the industry and the academia, industry which is creating some of these solutions and possibly also creating applications for some of these, and the academia which has the basic and the foundational knowledge on these and possibly the time to research on some of this. So when both of them sit together, literally sit together, is when we will know how to integrate some of these things. If I were to simply talk of a very simple way, how does all of this impact management or management education? I think I've written this elsewhere as well. I think management education, even more so today, will have to start to understand the aftermath or the possibilities that happen because people are working with such abstract technologies, and the workplaces that will get created as a result of it will also be fairly dehumanizing. And therefore, as a management specialist, as somebody who is going to manage people who work in such environments, what are the different skills that are required to keep the humanity and motivation up are really good, are important questions for us to think about. I don't think I have answers to all of these, but I think these are new problems that are posing. And I think we have to all work together to find solutions to some of them.
Well, I think you have brilliantly answered it in your last line, humans and humanity. So you may have technocrats on the one side and you may have the human angle on the other side. Both of these are very important, and it's the combination of multiple aspects of learning, whether it's management and technology combined together, that will make skilled people skilled or resources skilled in understanding, empathizing, and keeping a balance between technology and the other aspects of management that will be required. I think a question that has come, which I find it more relevant to what you said, Professor Niharika, and it's for all of you. What would be the effect of this Industry 4.0 on society and economy as a whole? Because while we talk about great things about technology coming and disrupting and making great changes, on the other side, there could be an impact on the society, positive and negative. How do you see? And I would want to ask Dr. Sandeep, would you like to answer this question?
Sure, I'll make a statement on that. But before that, for this question, which was relating the IT education in management, I'll give a simple answer there. All the managers, likely managers who are undergoing the management program, probably will have to acquire skills of what we call, in relation to IT, broad sense of IT, skills related to Excel, skills related to basic coding, maybe skills related to statistical tools like SPSS, maybe tools like financial things, maybe in simple terms it can be Tally, maybe digital marketing. I think that's an entry level requirement for any manager if they are talking of IT skills. But if one goes up in the chain and the higher level skills which are required, those skills probably would be merging with the technical skills or any technology person in terms of use of AI or AI, the big data. I was already giving the example for investment banking. The machine learning, the data science is going to be very important. That's why IIT Madras has opened this in a very, very big way. Maybe IoT or information security, all will be equally important at the top management level position, that how to use them, program them, or whatever. So that's an answer to the question which was sitting there, which was attempted last time. And right now you're asking what will be the impact of Industry 4.0. It is well known that the Industry 4.0 will make the manufacturing distributed. Resourcing, sourcing will become distributed. It will not be highly centralized. So there might be chance of cost-cutting measures which will happen. There will be a lot of personalization in everything which is going to happen in the life, which is also possible. Machines will come into your kitchen, which will create everything. Machines will come for your body, which will be sitting in hospitals, creating your body parts, already knee and teeth and everything is happening. So everything which you require at a personal level is what is going to happen in Industry 4.0. Of course, 5.0 will be an advanced version. There is no doubt about it. As I said, the complete body can be created as was done in the robots. And similarly, Education 4.0 is also student-centric. So once again, personalization is the answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. Dr. Debashish, your comments?
Yeah, I think there were every phase, whether it's 4.0, 3.0, every phase, when we went from one phase to other, society has reacted in two ways. Some people got adversely impacted, some people got positively impacted. That will continue actually. The new generation people who are pretty technology savvy, they're grabbing it out and they're so happy with it. And I'm talking not only in urban areas, but rural areas too. With fiber network perpetuating into the villages, I think that young generation will, but there will be some social society adverse impact also. Some people will be feeling left out. And what hello,
your voice is getting a little disrupted.
Now it's okay. Hello. Okay. So because of this, loneliness may come in. If group people stop working, team gets reduced, then loneliness will set in. So that part is going to happen somehow or the other. But the biggest challenge which is coming is that how to get the organization, like corporate world is facing with a big challenge, how to get results out of the team is such type of where everyone wants to work individually. How to create a team without team you cannot come up with new ideas and to implement new projects. So that impact will be there.
Thank you, Professor Debashish. And while most of the questions that have been raised are largely answered, and most of the questions that I have a question coming from one of the listeners that please tell how work-related skills be developed in universities, especially multidisciplinary universities. Any one of you? This can be an open question to any one of you. Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Sandeep.
Yeah. One thing, a very short and sweet answer for this question is, let the learning be not limited to 18 to 25 years of age and confined to universities. The onus cannot be purely and solely to the universities, that they are answerable, that they learn everything while they are there. So that's a very simple answer. The working age will be from 25 to 75. The learning age typically can be classified from 18 to 80 for higher education, I'm saying. And therefore, learning should and can happen anywhere, anytime, any mode, any language, and so on and so forth. And when it comes to multidisciplinary, the limitations were not necessarily that students didn't want it. They never understood. Actually, even now we don't understand. Multidisciplinarity is very different and limited version. There has to be interdisciplinarity. There has to be transdisciplinarity. We are still confining. Multidisciplinarity for me is I'm an electronics engineer. You are possibly from management. Madam is from, let's say, commerce or whatever. We sit together and do something of our own roles is multidisciplinary. We are still not combining. I think we need to make those barriers, what you call multi and trans and those things, understand it fully. And by the way, the NE has repeated this word called multidisciplinary 76 times. I've spoken at length about the topic 76 times in the English version pages. It's repeated. And they are not only talking about multidisciplinary, they are saying large multidisciplinary universities. I don't know what IITs and IIM would learn from there. I would also go to there are leaders of skills university. Please don't confine your universities to only skills. Do whatever you like. Name maybe whatever, I don't mind. But let skills not be sitting in the isolation, and let general education not sitting in the isolation. And that's how multidisciplinary will be promoted. I'd like to quote, and I've worked on behalf of UGC for that particular scheme called Academic Bank of Credit. I'm sure most of you have seen the regulations. I'm sure most of the universities today have registered for that. And I would like to get a question from anyone, including our experts. Is there something which cannot be done under the framework of ABC today? Everything. If I like Dr. Raj Nehru, take his course while I'm sitting anywhere in the world and get credited and get transferred on my sheet, depending upon whatever I want, and so on and so forth. So international, national boundary is gone, time boundary is gone, specialization boundary is gone. So today under ABC, you can make courses of your own, timetable of your own, choose teachers of your own. Ultimately, you can degrees also of your own. It is something like this, Nehruji, is that I eat what I want to eat. No one prescribes me to eat regularly what I have to eat unless under some special condition.
Right.
I want to hear. And life is very important. Education for life is very important. Education should also be like that. I study what I want to study. So I make my own degree. I make everything which I want, and therefore the multidisciplinary will be promoted. But one has to be wise to choose the right choices or make right choices. And we need to provide good guidance for that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Could I come in and say a few words? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes. So I just also wanted to add to both the points that were spoken, very well spoken. One of the things I want to say is that, with the way things are progressing, where my fridge will fill itself, where where everything will get done on its own, especially when you look at some of the things that are getting done, I think we humans are going to have a lot of leisure time. And unless we learn what to do with our leisure, I think there is going to be another problem. We'll have a huge challenge at hand. So again, while the machines make our life easy, I really worry about what will we do with our free time. There is so much free time that we are going to have as a result of just having everything being done by some automated system. I think, again, education will have to start thinking about, are we preparing people to actually deal with leisure? Because that's an existential question. It's not simply a management or an industry question. What do I do with my time? The second thing I want to say is that, again, I really like Professor Sancheti's point that it is really important that we don't just think of multidisciplinarity, but we think about choices in doing what I need to do. So that's really important. Again, as universities, I think we have far too long been too regulated. We are regulated, and we regulate the students who come into our halls. And I think the important thing for us is to say, maybe the student also has the wisdom to make a choice as to what they want and when they want it. And therefore, maybe we need more counselors, more choice architecture, more freedom in our system to be able to get people to make those decisions. So that's what I think we all need to do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. In the interest of time, because we have to wind it up at 11:30, I think it has been a brilliant discussion going on. You have all brought some very important points that are intellectually stimulating, as well as that give a lot of perspective. Dr. Debashish, I will have to wind up, but if you have a 1-minute comment, please, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, just I want to say, the people who want to learn, they should also show the eagerness to learn. Everything is available. Knowledge is the cheapest form. With a 1,000 rupees internet, you can get the whole world of knowledge. But one has to say what I want to need to learn, and top up my knowledge in that field. We also do that. We also keep on new things are coming up. We don't know. We go to either YouTube or something else and learn it. So knowledge is cheap these days. Knowledge, fundamental knowledge, introductory knowledge is very cheap. One has to have the eagerness to learn.
Absolutely, sir. And I think one important observation that I had was that there is a need to break the barrier between the educator, employer, and the educatee. We all work in different silos today, and that is sometimes also in the many cases creating challenges, and we are not aligning ourselves to the changes that is happening in the world, and eventually that impacts the quality of the output from the educational institution. There is lots that we need to do at the academic level as well, how our faculties, they are upskilled themselves on how to engage with the industry outside, how to engage with the external world and find out what's happening there, and how that change and that understanding is brought back into the system. And in fact, students also have to be acclimatized with this changing environment inside the campus and also the industry, so that it doesn't have a surprise to them when they are there. And they also go on the self-learning model as well, how to make sure that what they don't find inside the campus, they can themselves explore and find out and get themselves ready for this change, and at the end become more profitable, productive, efficient resource for the market, for the industry, for themselves, or when in case they go for their self-employment or they start their own enterprise. I think I must thank all my three panelists, Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, Dr. Mihari Kagura, and Dr. Debashish Sanyal, for amazing and wonderful inputs that they have shared. And thank you to IMA for this conference of Vice Chancellor Council, where you have organized this with the intent of bringing some new perspectives. It's a great honor to be a chair for this and moderate this panel of eminent speakers. Thank you once again. I'm sure the panel has been able to give many answers to many questions that the people have raised. And once again, thank you, sir. It's a privilege for me to be part of this team and speaking.
Thank you.
Collaborate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ayman.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Raj.
Thank you.
May I now invite Dr. Rajesh Sena?
Bye-bye.